Is Alexia done? Is Jessica hiding some things? We're going to get into all of that and more in this recap and review of the latest episode of Put a Ring on It. All right, so welcome back to the channel. My name is Kevin.
I'm Tarsha.
And this is, of course, Conversations with the Crawleys, where we have conversations about faith, family relationships, recaps of some of our favorite shows. And if that's entertainment, if that's content that you enjoy, then make sure you are doing what? Hitting that subscribe button, hitting like, and request notifications. And then we will see you in the comments. All
Share.
Right? Yeah, share. And also hit up the new IG page that we have, Conversations with the Crawleys.
Yes.
We're sharing relationship tips there, as well as clips from some of our videos and other things. All right?
Follow us.
Hit that follow. All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So, latest episode of Put a Ring on It. We are nearing the halfway point, right?
Well, I guess last episode was the halfway point.
So we're picking up after Alexia did her Eric Watch Your Feet.
Walk out.
Right. So Dr. Nicole, then she doesn't, I appreciate this about her. She doesn't chase after her.
Right.
She starts to check in with the other couples and say, okay, how do you feel about that?
Right.
What are your thoughts on it?
Right.
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 So everything is a learning point, in my opinion, because it's also like, look, some of y'all might feel like bolting out too. So what are you going to do about it?
Right.
So finally, Alexia and Darion do come back in. Mm-hmm. And Alexia basically is like, I feel like he's not working on our relationship. That's her, in my opinion, her latest statement as far as what's going on with the two of them, right? And says that his actions are speaking louder than words, that he's saying this, but his actions are saying a lot more to her. And then Dr. Nicole begins to talk about how she has to manage her feelings and her emotions.
Correct. And trying to communicate it, right? Because when you just walk out, you're not communicating how you're feeling.
Right.
You just, I have to leave.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes I understand people need to gather their thoughts.
Step away for a moment. Absolutely.
And step away for a moment. Because, you know, he's trying to coax her back in. And she's like, I just need a moment. Because I guess they didn't realize that this was going to be a lot. You know, you signed up for this.
Right.
My understanding, there's a very long process to even get you to this point.
Right.
And so realizing that now you're in this process and he is dating the same person 4 times.
4 times now.
It could be a lot. I can see that.
And Dr. Nicole brings up this statement. She says that if you can't do it now in the controlled context of this thing, then what's going to happen? Because let's just be honest. At any point during the 14 years, this could have happened anyway.
Well, it did. They were off and on.
True.
They weren't consistent 14 years. They said that.
True.
In their breaks, not only did he have a relationship,
he got kids,
but he had kids during these breakups. So, yeah. And Dr. Cole mentions, he's like, this is short-term fixes. You're controlling. Obviously, you've done this several times over. Is it working? I like how she just asked you questions. Is this working? Well, obviously, it's not. Or if it is, it's only for short term.
Yep.
Don't you want long-term solutions?
Yes. And quick plug, we're going to have a conversation, a sit-down conversation with Dr. Nicole coming up within the next week or two. So basically make sure you are, again, that's the reason to hit the subscribe button and notifications so that you can be here for when we do that. It'll probably be live stream, so we'll even have some comments and questions there too. So, all right.
It's going to be juicy.
It's going to be good. Yeah. All right. So yeah, they got to figure out in this context, right? And for Alexia, I think she has to realize that this is the opportunity for him to see whether or not this is what he wants, and for her to see whether or not this is what she wants, right? So then moving around to the other couples, Laronda was saying that she felt some kind of way about Sean's 3rd date with Brittany.
Right.
By our account, though, I don't think Sean's really had 3 dates. Yes, he has been seen with her in 3 different locations.
Right.
But if y'all remember, the first date,
he wasn't paying attention.
He was remember, worried about the safety of Laronda, right?
Right.
And then the second date, They met in the studio, and as soon as the conversation started getting good, he was like, "Oh, I got to go because I can't stay around."
Right.
So this is the first, in my opinion, really first real full date.
Correct.
That they've had to have some good conversations as far as what we've seen, right? So, and then Laronda also mentions that he may have cheated before he met her. So sounds like, and even later on, he kind of talks to the fact that this is his first relationship that he's been 100% committed to.
Correct.
So for Laronda, I think there's that uncertainty of, yes, he's been good with me so far, but I'm wondering if his track record is going to pop up.
Right. I mean, I think that's what I think there's a balance between not wanting to get or have feelings for someone, then you just saying, I'm just going to have sex and I'm just going to cheat.
Right.
And for him to feel like, oh, I'm not comfortable, then what did it take with Laronda for him to want to be committed? And I think he needs to look to those facts. Like, these are the things what made me stay committed, that I didn't step out on my relationship. And now I'm in a controlled environment. I should be good to explore what's going on.
Exactly. So then couples are kind of dismissed. We find out who's going on dates, who's not going on dates. So we see Darion and Alexia at their house.
Right.
And Darion comes in, and at first I'm like, oh, Darion's he's about to step up, right?
Right.
Darion's like, look, I want to apologize. So at that moment, it was like, okay, Darion, I see work, right?
You're hearing what Dr. Nicole's saying.
Then he goes into, I'm going to tell you what I did wrong, and then hopefully you'll figure out what you did wrong, and then we can apologize to each other. Listen, if you got to, pull an apology out of someone, that's, and it's not a matter of, I'm going to apologize so you can apologize and we'd be good. No, if you truly apologize and you just going to apologize,
right,
regardless of whether or not the person feels that they need to apologize for something.
Right. I totally agree. I'm just going to leave it at that. I just totally agree. If I know I did something wrong, it's about me speaking to what I did it wrong. Now,
speak your truth.
If I feel like you did something wrong, you don't apologize, I'm like, well, Lord, you're going to have to handle that. But now, it's about me.
And I'll point out, this is what I feel where I was wrong, right?
Right.
So I'll point that out. But if you don't apologize, that's on you.
Right.
I'm not going to continue that. And that's a whole thing about forgiveness. That's another topic, especially in relationships, that you have to learn to forgive. And sometimes forgiveness happens even if the person doesn't recognize that they need forgiveness or need to apologize, right? And he makes a statement. He said he feels that his honesty was not being respected. But on the flip side of that, then he's like, you feel this kind of way, what have you? She's like, that's my truth. That's how I'm feeling. So they both are not, if we're honest, respecting each other's honest feelings.
Correct.
Right? So then Alexia, this is all leading up to her going on her date.
Right.
And she's a little excited about the date because she's like, look, I ain't thinking about dude.
And that's what she should have been doing. I was like, this is the point of the dates, for you to focus on you, not you and Darion. Because if that's the case, then y'all wouldn't need this process.
Right. So she goes on a date with Monty. And they go and do a love and basketball date, right?
Well, that was in his thought. That's what he's trying to conjure.
Because he like, oh, she play ball, okay.
Yeah.
And she beats him evidently, right?
Oh, yeah, that's what she said.
But they do seem to have a good conversation.
Right. She seems relaxed.
She is, he even asked the question about her relationship. She's like, I'm not talking about him. So, yes, she is finally, I think, at least embracing the process for herself to figure out where she's at with this, right? And so he has a kid, but wants more, which is right up her alley because she wants to have kids, right?
Right.
That's part of her things with Darion, is that he's got kids in other relationships, but they haven't had anything. So now her clock is ticking and everything, right? But yeah, she definitely is feeling him.
Yeah, she says they had good conversation. He's intelligent. And so she feels like she's getting more from that conversation. And so she decides later on, I guess we'll go on another
She'll
date.
make a decision about that, right? And then Jessica goes out on a date. She's got a new guy that she's going on a date with. This guy is Sean, right?
Right.
And they go on a date to a tequila bar.
Right.
She takes it to the head.
She talking about turning up. I see why she said she liked to turn up.
She is like, bop, bop.
And he's still trying to sip on
He's
his
like, look,
first.
I want to enjoy this. Now, I recognize his shots. I got you. But
well, and it's a taste bar.
Right.
She ain't tasted nothing.
And also, it's not that environment where it's I'm trying to get turned up, right?
Right.
If it was,
it's a vibe.
It's a vibe. It's a date
like,
during the day, right?
Eat a little veggie tray.
Right.
Get to know you. Taste different tequilas or whatever.
Right. So he's in luxury real estate sales, what have you. So he's feeling her, right?
Right.
He's definitely like, she's attractive. They out talk about kids. So he has 2 kids.
2 girls.
And we find out that she's got kids.
Right. I was like, oh, why your kids never came up in this situation? So the kids were not a problem.
Right.
As far as with him and Eric.
Right.
So I was like, okay.
So yeah, she has kids. I think she said they were 12 and 8. So they predated Eric, right?
Right. Definitely.
So don't know where, and I definitely get not wanting to bring the kids into this show environment. So
right.
Get that. It's just, I find it a little strange that there's been no mention of kids up to this point.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. It sounds like Eric doesn't have a problem with the kids, and that's not any contention in their relationship. Right. So we understand it's just about them being able to vibe, because it doesn't seem like Eric wouldn't be opposed to being a bonus dad.
Right. And there's some other things we find out about Jessica in a little bit. Right. So we'll talk about that. All right. So then Darion does another, I believe, a good move in that he requests a one-on-one with Dr. Nicole. Right.
Yeah.
So and hear me, let us know in the comments what you think. I know some of y'all, based upon some previous comments, you're all like, Darion just trying to get around. Darion just trying to do this. But I at least, I'm going to give the male perspective right now. I at least think that Darion is trying to work the process for the process's sake.
Right.
So yes, he's gone with Kai a few times because he recognizes Kai challenges him.
Right.
Kai is what he might normally go for.
Right.
So he's like, look, I'm in a controlled environment. Let's see if this is what I want to do versus not. And now he's pulling in Dr. Nicole and saying, okay, I need to talk because there's some things happening at home and I want to kind of work through that. So as much as we want to talk about Darion and how he's moving, what have you, I appreciate the fact that Darion is making use of the tools and the resources that are available to him for this show and in the context of the show.
Well, and you said it, our last episode, check out the last episode if you didn't. You talked about how men want peace in their home.
Yep.
And the first thing he mentioned when he sat down, because she asked him, what do you want out of this conversation? I want peace at home.
Yep.
He said it.
Yep.
So what you mentioned last week about a man wanting peace when he comes into his environment, that's what he wanted by talking to Nicole.
Yeah. And again, that's why up to this point, Kai has been kind of a place that he felt comfortable with because he could explore it and there was not a pressure, if you will, right? So he's talking to Dr. Nicole about Alexia and he says that he feels that she's playing tough. And Dr. Nicole is like, well, maybe she has to be tough. Maybe it's not an act. Maybe that's what she has to do. And there's this great statement about armor is a barrier. That we put up walls to protect ourselves, right?
Yes.
And so in many respects, I think that it was maybe an eye-opener for Darion to say, yeah, your girl is she seems tough. She's got this wall up. She's got this barrier up. But let's talk about maybe why she feels the need for that.
Right. And I think a lot of women do that, right? Because they've been hurt in the past or previously. So it's like, if you're in a relationship now and you're wearing armor, why? Is it because you're not in a safe space? And why are you not in a safe space?
Right. So then Sean goes on his 3rd date, 1.5 date, whatever, with Brittany. And they have this cute little thing. I say that sarcastically, right? They have this cute little
flirting.
They were just flirting, right? About them both ordering green tea and how they're so much alike, what have you. And so he does mention again there that Laronda is the first person in his 33 years that he's been 100% faithful with. Right. And so they're having this conversation. She's a singer, as we found out last time. She's supposed to go down to do a show, but she held off to have that date.
To have the date and decided to drive. Right. So, yeah.
And so she is asking the question of, okay, why am I on this 3rd date?
Right. Like, I can't tell if you like me or not, pretty much is what she's getting at.
And I think that on the flip side, I don't think we talk too much about the people that are going on the dates with these couples.
Right.
Because on that side, they're not just doing it as a show, I don't think. And because I've seen like the casting information for them, these are folks that are looking for relationships.
Yeah.
Right. So to them, it's like, yes, I know you got somebody, but I want to explore, because if you're having questions about what you're already in, maybe I might be the option for you, and I need to know where I stand.
Right. Which is, I think it's also safety for them, right? Because they can go in relationships, they can only go on the dates that are set up, and they're notified through someone else.
Right.
And so it gives them the opportunity to really see what people are going through that are in a relationship, and deciding now if they can explore and it can be in a controlled situation, why not?
Yeah. So she's definitely feeling him. He seems to be feeling her, but we'll see kind of what happens with them. All right. And then Jessica and Eric, it is their week for the alone time with Dr. Nicole.
Yes.
All right, listen. So we find out that they did break up about, a year ago?
Right. Because he was transitioning
from playing in the NFL.
And that's very big for a player.
Right. Oof. Because, I mean, I get it, because for our son is right now in college. We just dropped him off. He's playing football. If he can make it to the league, awesome. But for the last few years, that's what he's been dedicating himself to, right? So I get it for someone like Eric, who has probably throughout, maybe from Pop Warner all the way up through high school into college and into the pros, his life has been football. And now to make that switch, you're now, what do I do with myself? Who am I? All those things, right? So in that moment, in that time, there was some disconnect between him and Jessica.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And so they broke up. And within a week.
As he says.
And she doesn't too much deny that.
Right. Well, she's saying it was more than that, but she's not elaborating from.
Within a week.
As he says.
7 days. She's with some other dude.
I think she had to been entertaining in a long time.
Yeah.
So,
here's the thing I'm not been a fan of Jessica. I'm not. I've kind of had my own thoughts concerning how she moves and operates, right? And because I just she seems flighty to me in some respects, right? And so we saw last week how Eric was saying that he could have a conversation here, but he doesn't necessarily have it with Jessica. So I'm concerned, because all we've heard up to this point is, I'm concerned that Eric's going to cheat. Eric's going to go step out. All Eric thinks about is sex. All Eric does is this. All Eric does is that. However, now we find out, well, y'all had a split for a week. And granted, it happened on a split. Gotcha. But if within a week, you've been entertaining this dude to the point where now you're hooking up with him, and he's another professional athlete, is what we find out from Eric. So now it's like, okay, something was happening up to this point to now where within a week you already had your backup.
Right.
So are you entertaining other backups throughout the entire relationship? Valid questions.
I don't know. I think that's something that maybe she needs to really work through. When you need consistent attention and you're not getting it, she says that she felt like he was taking it out on her. Maybe he was.
It's possible, yeah.
But Dr. Nicole says, did you talk to him about what you need? Did you communicate?
Yep.
No. Well, if a person doesn't know that they're taking it out on you because they're just going through these emotions of change, emotions of trying to find identity, and you're not communicating like, hey, don't take it out on me.
Right.
How are they supposed to know?
Right.
Right.
So, and then we'll get to the trailer, but that's why I have some concerns about Jessica, right? I'm not saying that Eric is 100% free and clear in this, but I think, we've talked about this. For example, y'all know the Beyonce song "To the Left," right? And if you listen to the lyrics, it's a situation just like that, because Beyonce is like, you cheated, what have you, to the left, but I got another dude who's already on his way. Well, if you got another dude that's already on his way, that means that you may not have gone through with the act of cheating, but you at least opened the door and entertained it.
Right.
And that's what Jessica did, in my opinion, as far as what we're hearing, is that she, and then, that was the other thing. And then Eric's like, but you were supposed to be blocking numbers, but then I see you on FaceTime with him.
Right.
Now, I'm an Android guy, right? But if I understand, because we have something like that on Android, right? So if somebody calls you, even from a different number, I don't necessarily have to accept, especially a FaceTime.
I don't know if you can see their face when it's coming through. I thought you did. Thought you could see the face coming through. But see, this again, it talks about when we reflect and we only talk about the other person's issues. So if you cheated, your automatically thought is, well, you must be thinking the way I'm thinking.
Right.
And so we reflect and look at other people and what they're doing.
Yep.
So in these cases, I see Jessica not like working on me like, hey, I caused some issues of trust in the relationship, which means I don't trust him because I did some things and he could just easily do the same thing.
Right. So yeah, the projection is real with her.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So then all the couples do come back and meet. Well, excuse me. Then Kai and Darion, right? Kai has his conversation, his date with Darion, or excuse me, Darion has his date with Kai.
Right.
Right. And it's a vibe still at this point, but it quickly begins to shift.
Right. Because Kai is saying, hey, I'm starting to really get feelings for you. I need to know where you are.
Right.
You know, because if you want to be with me, then be with me. If you want to, you know, like, I don't take it as far as we want to go with
She
it.
like, you're looking for a sign, but here's the sign.
Here is the sign. She said, I am not the help.
Yes. Because
she did sure say, I am not.
Because basically he was like, look, you helped me talk through stuff.
Right.
What have you. Because again, remember I said.
He's kind of giving her friend vibes.
Right. And he's giving her almost like therapist vibes.
That's why I'm saying friend.
Yeah.
Because you go to your friend and you talk to him.
But he's kind of like, because again, remember I said a man likes peace.
Right.
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 And Kai has been up to this point been kind of a place of peace for him, in my opinion.
Right.
That she's not necessarily stressing him, what have you, where you been, what you doing, da, da, da.
Right.
She's having conversations with him.
Right.
This time, though, he's starting to feel some pressure.
Correct.
Because she's saying, I need to know where we stand.
Right.
This is now date 4. So this isn't just, let's go grab a cup of coffee. This is now, we're reaching a threshold.
I think he was I believe he was befriending her and having a safe place.
Yes.
He made her his safe place.
Yes.
And then when it got real that she was having feelings, he was feeling like he was being cornered.
Right.
Because he says, I love my girl.
Yes.
And she's like, that's all good. Then why are you here?
Right.
And he says, well, you're helping me. She said, I'm not here to help you.
I am not the help.
I am not here to help you. I'm here to be in a relationship. And so
she's like, I'm not Florence from the Jeffersons. I'm not Maud. I'm not Alice from the Brady Bunch. I'm none of those things.
I am not Oprah. This is not my chair. You can sit and share it. And we'll talk about it because I have my thoughts about when, he mentions when they talk about having the dates again.
All right. So then they do all meet. All the couples do meet again with Dr. Nicole for the debrief of the week, right? And so we find out from Sean is not going to do his 4th date with Brittany.
Correct.
All right. He and there was this whole thing of, remember, Brittany had a concert or singing engagement that she was going to do, and she missed the bus, but she was going to drive down. And Sean was like, I almost felt like I could drive down with her. Right. What have you. Right. And Laronda was like,
like, why would
you that makes no sense.
It does if you want to get to know somebody.
True.
And you're single.
Right. If you're single and you free like that, yes.
Yeah, I ain't doing nothing, let's go.
But yeah, that would have been a violation.
Yes. Again, and Dr. Nicole talks about what? Boundaries in relationships. Right. So he needed to think about it. Well, obviously he did because he didn't go.
Yeah.
But it was a thought.
It was a thought. It was a thought. Don't know how strong of a thought it was, but it was enough. It was enough for him to mention it, right?
Correct. Yeah. And that's why I question why he doesn't want to go on another date.
Yeah, because again, Sean has this habit right now from what we've seen of his dates, right?
Yeah, he's blocking.
He's not fully. Whereas Darion is fully engaged with the process. Yeah. Sean is like tiptoeing. He in the waiting pool. He like putting his foot in, shaking his foot around a little bit, and then
warm up because it gets so cold here right now.
And as soon as it gets above that ankle, right? He out.
He out.
All right. So then Alexia is asked about a second date with Monte. And she is, or Monty, whatever.
Monty. Yeah.
Monty. All right. And so she's feeling him. She liked the date. And I think it was the first time that she's had a date where, or in this process, I should say, that she was about herself.
Correct.
She was trying to do the work and figure out for herself. And so she's going on a second date with Monty.
Correct.
All right. Jessica is going on a second date with Sean.
Yes.
And Eric is kind of like, okay, if that's what she wants to do, that's what she wants to do.
He's like, I'm really trying to work this process. If it gets us to our destiny. And I think he's just kind of coming around like, okay. And this is why I'm saying at the beginning, I feel like Eric is the one that's more level-headed.
Right.
Even from the first episode.
Yeah. All right. And then now to Darion.
Yes.
So the question comes to Darion. And of course, you know how they edited, right?
Right.
So they went all around the other couples, and then they get to Darion because Darion's going to be the explosion, right? Right. So you get to Darion, and Darion is asked about whether or not he wants to go on date number 5.
Correct.
With Kai.
Correct.
And he makes the statement, there will be repercussions and consequences if I say yes. And so as a result of that, he says no. Then she asks, how does Kai feel about that? And Kai's like, what have you. But then Darion's like, basically like, you asked me not to.
You said Kai, you mean Alexia?
I'm sorry, Alexia, right? Alexia, right? And Alexia's like, she kind of is like, yeah, that's kind of, I want him to do what he wants to do. That's the decision that he makes, what have you. And then Darion's like, but you asked me to. Right. And then Alexia,
She sure did. Put it on caption.
Yeah. Whoever was doing the captions had to try and keep up. It was like, She's speaking in tongues over there, right? So Dr. Nicole then again is kind of pressing and saying, okay, she doesn't dig far into it, but she's kind of like, okay, you might get what you want, but is this really what you want?
Temporarily, you get what you want. You keep trying to control the situation, and it only works for so long, and it's only temporary, and you're back in the same position.
Cycles.
When are you going to decide to do something different?
Yep.
If you're going to make this something different, make it different. Where I was going to bring the comment in is that Darion is still not communicating to Alexia like, hey, this girl is helping me. I really feel like she's a friend.
Right.
That's why I keep going on the dates with her. I love you. She knows I love you. This last date, she's catching feelings. I don't want to be pressured. I want her to help me, and she's not willing to help me. So that's why I'm not going on the 5th date. I think that was set up Alexia's to feel like, oh. Yeah. Instead of her conjuring in her mind that he's just lusting after this girl.
Right.
Even Kai says, this dude is in love with his girl.
Yep.
So everything about their conversation, she's not getting that he's really ready to break up.
Right.
He's getting like, I can tell he loves his girl.
Right.
So, but he's not communicating that. And I think that's where the breakdown is happening in this relationship.
Yeah. So then Dr. Nicole says, look, Darion, I'm sending you on a date this week. I'm sending you on a date with Alexia. He's like, okay, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yes, ma'am, let's do it. Alexia, how do you feel about that?
No. I don't want to go out with him this week. Okay. All right. Come on. You don't want to go out with Kai. He's trying to talk to you. Not saying he's doing a good job. But now you're saying you putting in all the work. Who ain't working right now? I just want to know who ain't working on a relationship right now.
So let us know what you think. Because Kai might be done.
You mean Alexia?
Alexia, I'm sorry. I'm already putting Kai on this show, right? Put a ring on it, episode 3 with her and Darion. I don't know. But Alexia might be done.
It's just, again, come so far. You said you want to go through this process. You want to see to make this work. He's sitting there, bad communicator, but his actions
and making effort, right?
Yeah.
His communication skills are bad. Yes, we get that. As far as a relationship and communication, he needs work in that area. However, he is making. I'm going to give him credit. He's making the effort. He's listening to what Dr. Nicole is saying. He's with his limited communication, and that's not conversation. That's just his communication of his emotions, thoughts, what have you.
Right.
With his limited communication skills, he's trying to communicate. Doesn't always get it right. But he's making the effort.
Right.
So I can't fault him for making the effort. If he put a wall up and was like, nope, I'm gonna do this, nope, I'm not gonna do that, and just cut everything off, then yeah, we could really look at Darion as quote unquote the villain of the show, right? But he's making the effort. He's at least using the tools and resources that are available to him to say, I love my girl, but we at this place and I gotta figure this out.
Based off of Alexia's comments, I feel like she's not putting in the work. She's not putting in the process of her dates until finally this last day. Now, Dr. Nicole is asking her, I want y'all to go out on a date yourself, and you refuse to get out of the way because of your feelings. I think some of the problems a lot of times with relationships, we put up the wall to the point where we push people away instead of saying, you know what, I'm gonna leave a crack open and just see what happens. I'm gonna let down my guard and see what happens. Because guess what? You've already been hurt in the past.
Right.
Obviously, that's why you broke up.
Right.
And we don't want to feel pain again, but sometimes it takes pain to get us to a point of breakthrough.
Right. And I don't think that Dr. Nicole was saying you can't go on the date with Monty. I think she was going to give Alexia 2 dates this week.
She was going to get 2 dates.
Where she would have and that would have been, if we're honest, that would have been a perfect comparison and contrast.
Correct, because she didn't say, she said, are you going to date him again, the second date? Yeah. Okay, now for Darion's assignment, if you want to call it this, for Darion's assignment, I want Darion for you to go out with Alexia. Okay, why? Because we want to recreate connection.
Right.
We want to get you back in an environment where you're not thinking about anything and you're just hanging and enjoying each other's time.
So, we'll see. I told you, I think I made a prediction last week. I said that Darion and Alexia might not make it past this process, right? Or if they do, it won't be long after, right? So it seems like right now where the impasse, it seems like we're kind of building towards, it seems like there may be some need to go separate ways.
Well, if you only keep creating the same patterns,
right?
Again, you're in that zone of, I'm so used to my dysfunction is comfortable.
Right.
Then, yeah, you might be
We'll see. All right. So now we get to the trailer for next week. And Sean and Laronda have this thing where I don't know what's going on, but it seems like he's accusing her of lying about something.
Right. When she's telling her truth, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see.
We'll see. But then, of course, we also see Jessica a clip of Jessica on her second date with Sean, and she is very...
I don't know. The guy, Sean, seems to be saying he's feeling her already. He knows what's good, and she's just taking it in like a drink of water.
Yep.
Just like she shot.
Like that shot, she said, yep.
I'm in.
All right, so let us know what you think in the comments. Let us know if we missed something as we're talking about this show. Hit us in the comments. Make sure, again, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. And also check out the IG page, Conversations with the Crawleys. We're making everything very easy. As long as you look for Conversations with the Crawleys, you'll find whatever we got out there. All right? I think that's it. All right, y'all have a good one. Be blessed. We will see you next time.